On May 10th, 1970, Bobby Orr of the Boston Bruins makes the final goal of Game 4 in the Stanley Cup Finals to beat the St. Louis Blues and win the Stanley Cup in one of the most famous photos of all time, where it looks like he's flying in celebration. And today, we're going to go back to the story behind how all this happened on Daily Sports History. Before we dribble into today's episode, let's shoot some love for our sponsor, Sports Social Pro. If your team's social media presence is as empty as the bleachers at a preseason game, fear not. We're here to bring the fans roaring back. Whether you need a full court press or just a halftime pep talk, check us out at dailysportshistory.com/social and let's slam dunk your social media game. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. Now, Bobby Orr is arguably one of the greatest NHL players of all time, and without question is the greatest scoring defenseman to ever play the game. And he was a child prodigy, great with the skates, and recruited back when he was a teenager, and was so highly touted his rookie year in the NHL. He had the highest paid contract in the whole league, which helped many other players garner higher paydays as well. And in 1966, he finally joined the Boston Bruins, changing their fortune around and helping lead them into a powerhouse in the NHL for multiple years. But the 1969-1970 season is when he went from stardom to legend. He won the James Norris Trophy, given out to the best defensive player in the NHL 8 years in a row. And in 1970, he truly came out as having one of the greatest seasons of all time. Not only did he win the James Norris Trophy for the third straight year, he won the Art Ross Trophy, given to the player that has the most points in the league, the Hart Trophy, given to the most valuable player in the league, and the Conn Smythe Trophy, given to the MVP of the playoffs. Now, the 69 season may seem like it would have been great, but it was largely dominated by the Eastern Division, as the West Division only had one team with a winning record, and that was the St. Louis Blues, who worked their way easily through the playoffs, beating the Minnesota Stars in 6 games and beating the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games as well. But the Boston Bruins had a great season. They finished second in the East Division, just behind the Chicago Blackhawks. And out of the 6 teams in the Eastern Division, 5 of them had winning records. And they were facing better teams, but that doesn't mean they had more of a challenge to make it to the Stanley Cups, as they lost 2 games in the first round to the New York Rangers and would not lose another game, sweeping the Chicago Blackhawks in 4 games to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, that season, they were Harry Sedin, who'd been coaching the team the entire time Bobby Orr was on the team. The leader on the team that year in goals was not actually Bobby, as it was Phil Esposito, another great hockey player for the Boston Bruins. But the leader in assists, points, penalty minutes was all Bobby Orr. And Game 1 and Game 2 were fantastic games if you were Boston Bruins, as they outscored the St. Louis Blues 12-3 in those first games, being led in scoring in those games by Johnny Buck and Derek Sanderson, scoring 6 points in each game. Now, Game 3 was a little bit more of a closer amount, only winning 4-1 back in Boston. Coming into Game 4 at the Boston Garden, with the Bruins leading the series 3-0, only needing one more game to win the Stanley Cup for the first time in almost 30 years. But the Blues weren't ready to go home quite yet. After the Blues scored with a Rick Smith goal with about 5 minutes into the game, the Bruins countered in that first period with Red Bernerson tying the game at the end of the first period. And then in the second period, the Bruins take the lead 2-1. But Phil Esposito comes back at the end of the second period and makes his very first goal of the entire series. But just 19 seconds into the third period, the St. Louis Blues take the lead again. And when 7 minutes with almost 6 minutes left in the third period, the Boston Bruins tie the game, and the game would go into overtime. Just 40 seconds into the overtime period, The Blues could barely keep the puck in their own zone. They dumped the puck to the Bruins' blue line, and Bobby Orr picked up the loose puck and skated it all the way to the red line, dumping it back in the St. Louis zone, where Wayne Carleton took possession for the Bruins and shoveled the puck into the slot where it bounced around before eventually clearing to the point, where Don Ari sent a slap shot towards the goal where it got blocked. The puck bounced to the right side of the board, where Orr stopped short, corralling the puck, and the St. Louis defenseman took a shot at the puck with no avail, and Orr gave the puck to Derek Sanderson, who passed it to Bobby Orr while he was right in front of the net, and tapped the puck into the net, passing the goalie, winning the game in just 40 seconds into overtime. But as he did this, a defenseman had swiped to try to stop the puck, hitting Bobby Orr's skates, sending him flying through the air as he was going full speed. And the picture was taken as you see him with his hands raised, cheering, flying, as it looks like he is flying, and the fans in the stands all cheering as well, as they had just won the Stanley Cup, and Bobby Orr is flying in celebration, making his only goal of the entire series, but making it one of the most memorable moments in all of hockey history, thanks to the famous picture that will always be remembered. Following the amazing season he had and winning the Stanley Cup, 2 years later, he would be rewarded with a 5-year contract worth $200,000 a year. In today's money, that would be about $1.5 million. And it made it the very first $1 million contract in NHL history. And Bobby deserves his own episode, probably even more than one, as we just mentioned a few of his accolades, as he was the 8-time winner of the James Norris Trophy, the 2-time winner of the Art Ross Trophy, the only defenseman to ever win that award, a 3-time winner of the Hart Memorial Trophy, a 2-time winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy, and won the Stanley Cup again in 1972, as well as winning a gold medal in the 1976 Olympics. In 1979, the Boston Bruins retired his number 4 jersey, and he was inducted that same year into the Hockey Hall of Fame, being the youngest to ever be inducted at only the age of 31. We all know about the great one in hockey, but no defenseman has ever been as good as Bobby Orr was in his short 12-year NHL career. We may never ever see another like him. And it just goes to show you, just because your title may be one thing, it doesn't mean that's who you are or that defines you. You can be whoever you want to be. Defensemen don't normally score that much or have many points in hockey. That doesn't mean you can't be a great offensive player, even if you're a defenseman or whatever position you are. You can be great in more than just one thing. And for me, I think it'd be great to hear from you guys if there's a story or topic you would love for us to talk about. You can connect with us on all our socials: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, all the places where you socialize. We are there, and we'd love to hear from you if there's any topic you want.